Good afternoon, Stampers. How is everybody today? Welcome to Tuesdays with Judy, right? So, Diane and I are bringing you some stuff from the last chance list and the annual catalog. She brought you an item for some products from the last chance list yesterday, and I am doing the annual catalog. Oh, sorry. We're going to be making some thank you cards using the Ornate Thanks and Forever Blossoms stamp set today. So as you come on, say hello. Make sure you grant StreamYard permission to post your responses. Say hello to me. My name is Judi Anderson. I'm an independent demonstrator from the United States, and Diane is from Canada. We collaborate every week and bring you guys some ideas. So, if you're watching on replay, please put replay in the comments so that I know that you watched on replay. And make sure you give those thumbs up and those hearts, you guys. You know we love those. And be sure to share this with your friends. If you guys have some crafty friends, maybe they'd like to get in on the stamping scene also. And if you're watching on my YouTube channel, welcome. Make sure you subscribe so you know every time I come live. So I'm going to switch the camera around. And hello, Marjorie and Marilyn. Good morning. Yes, you guys are from Canada, and in Canada, it is still morning. We're going to flip you around. I have stopped using my phone on these. I find it much easier for me just to use my webcam. And let me get this. It looks a little bit blurry. Can you all hear me okay? I'm going to get my fingers a little bit while I zoom this in and make it unblurry. It's a little bit different setting when it's on me compared to on what I am doing. So you will find the Forever Blossoms stamp set on page 73 of the annual catalog. Now this stamp set is more, the phrases in it is more for weddings and love and anniversaries, but I just love this floral image. So we're going to be using that in a couple of the small ones for the inside. And I am pairing that up with my favorite thank you set in the catalog, my little marker. And that is the Ornate Thanks. And you will find the Ornate Thanks on page 77. I love the set because of the different fonts. You've got your thank you, so grateful, and thanks in bright, bold, big letters. And then you have all the other phrases in smaller. And we are going to put from the bottom of my heart today is the small phrase we're going to be using. Okay, this is a fairly simple card. I've already pre-cut a frame using the ornate layers. Now, this stamp set does have a coordinating die set, and it's called Cherry Blossoms, which cuts out and embosses some different images also. But we're not going to be doing that. I'm keeping it simple today. No embossing, no die cutting, except for my frame. Now, I do have a piece of basic white that measures, 3.5 by 5 inches, and then a piece of basic black that's a 1/4 inch larger, so it's 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. And that's going to be for the inside of our card. For the front of our card, I wanted to use these ornate layers dies. And I just, oops, do you guys hear a lot of noise? Sorry about that, a lot of rustling. My mic just fell off. Sorry about that. We'll put that back on again. So I'm using those ornate layers, and I love this just to make the layer of basic white or vanilla just a little fancy. So we're using this die today, and I've already cut this out. Now, I did want to give you a little tip when using a die that has all these little holes in it. If instead of sitting there and poking these out, it's not going to work because I have my self-healing mat here. But if you just pound it down like that on a hard surface, like this, they will all flop. Most of them come out. Some of them will stay, but they do fall out. So that keeps you from doing all that poking. Now, this, I am layering on a piece of basic black. Now, this basic black is sized just to be beyond those outside scallops. This is almost 5 1/4, I believe. Yeah, it's just over 5 1/4. So I didn't have much layering space for my card base unless I made my card larger. So I just took it and lined it up on two sides, and then I took my trimmer and then just trimmed it on the other two sides. So I'm not too sure the measurements. It looks like maybe one line before the 4 inches and then one line before the 5 1/2. So it's almost 5 1/2 inches. So we're going to use that for the front. Now, when we use this, you could leave these corners square, but I like to round them with our corner rounder punch. Good morning, Dorothy. Awesome. So Marjorie can hear me. Good. So I'm just going to punch. Now, when you punch with this punch, you don't want to punch it in the center. You actually want to punch on the corner of the design that you're using. And you want to make sure that you get both of these into, I'm going to go just a little bit closer. So I hope I don't lose you when I'm stamping, okay? You want to make sure you line your paper up to this and this here. There's kind of a guide there that your paper will hit into, and then punch on that corner and you won't have any problems. If your corner doesn't come out correctly, that means you don't not have your cardstock in there all the way, or you're not punching on that corner. But it's just that quick and easy. It's just a light touch. But look at the difference. Here, I'll put this underneath. Look at the difference that this looks. Now it's uniform there. So I like the rounded corners. My card base is Cherry Cobbler, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4, right down the middle. So we're going to put that to the side. We're basically working with this piece today. I am going to be doing it horizontal, and I am going to be using these flowers. So we are going to stamp those first. And when I have a big stamp like this, I actually like to put my stamp down on my surface and bring my pad to my stamp. I find that I can see if I got all the images stamped or inked up correctly. Now I'm just going to curve this so it does not go beyond the scallops. So just put that on, and good even pressure. Now, like I said, I am using from the bottom of my heart. And I have a person in mind for this. I should have done it in yellows. I'm going to do it in reds because it's a holiday. Thank you. So we have that stamped, a nice, good image. Clean my stamp off real quick. I am using Memento, so we are going to be coloring these with our Stampin' Blends. Now I am going to grab my black Stampin' Right marker because this phrase, make sure I have it right side up, would fit right up here if I wanted. But then I'd have to kind of fill this space. I want to fill this space right in here. So I am going to break this up so that it is a vertical message. Okay, so I am going to break it up. I'm going to take my brush tip and I'm going to do from and the. So here's my from, and I'm coloring on the side of my marker. So there's from and the. And you don't want to ink it up any other way. Now you could ink this up in your pad, and how you would do that is I put a little piece of washi tape here wherever I don't want to get the ink on. But I find it's just as easy using my black Stampin' Right marker when omitting from my stamps. So I'm going to stamp this from the right there. Now I need to clean off my stamp very well. And I forgot my Stampin' Chamois. I have actually been working on some stamping on the other side of my studio. Now, from the is here. That's nice and clean. Make sure it's nice and dry. Now you want to color the next words that you want. So I'm going to do bottom of, and just like that, making sure it's good, making sure, don't do it on the tip, you guys. That's how you ruin your markers. Your markers will last so much longer if you color on the sides. Bottom of, and we're going to space it a little bit. Right there. And see how that is making a very small sentiment stand out. The most important thing you want to do is, and am I stamping high enough? I know that sometimes across the bottom you guys will get captions and you can't see what we're doing. And then the last is going to be my heart. So I'm just going to color that. I can't believe. Sound is good. I've got connection. My heart. We don't want to do that upside down. And we're going to fill that space right there. Just like that. And so we have taken a skinny sentiment, and I will just show you. So this sentiment, if I had just stamped it, it would be just a cross up here. And then we'd have a lot of space to fill, which we don't want to do. Okay, we're going to grab our blends. The blends that I've chosen today are the light Poppy Parade, the light Cherry Cobbler, the dark Granny Apple Green, and the light Old Olive. I love mixing my colors. I didn't want this a red. I did want a little bit of a pink to it, so that's why I chose the poppy. I feel that the poppy has a little bit of pink, and that's kind of the glory of being able to mix and match your blends. And sorry. And when you go and blend them together, you will get a different color. So you're creating your own color. And I am just coloring with my light Cherry Cobbler in the dark areas that the artist has drawn. And I'm not making them solid. I'm just kind of doing little dots because I just want that hint of color in there. I don't necessarily want it really, really dark. So it's blotchy. And so I'm just following what the artist did. And don't you love our artists? You know, I think it's great that they do this for us. Not that they are actually, when they're drawing these images, they're not doing that actually for us. They're drawing, and they're talented. It makes our lives so much easier, right? Now, you could use a Christmas stamp if you wanted from the mini catalog to do the same thing. I've made some with some of the evergreen stamp sets. Okay, I think I got everything there. Now I'm going to take my Poppy Parade, and this is going to be really quick. Okay, the longest takes trying to figure out where you want that color and just not making sure that you don't put a whole bunch of it in one spot. Now I'm coloring and blending that color out, and I'm just going around the edges of the petal. So you're going to notice some little white spots in my images. I do that on purpose. I leave white spots because to me that makes it look like that's where the light's shining down. And sometimes the petals will have a light spot like that, a white. It gives your images dimension. So when you're coloring with your blends again, you just want to blend those colors together. And as it dries, it does blend. And if you want a little bit more darkness, you could go back in with your dark color. And I do this with all my markers. Blends. Blends is my favorite way of coloring next to watercoloring. My utmost favorite is watercoloring. And I know many of you think it's great that I've gotten away from it because I hear so many times from you guys that you can't watercolor. So the blends make you that artist that you always dreamed of being, is what I say. Now you can hear that squeaking, and that's me blending that darker color in. And the squeaking is good. You know, you can spend as much time or as little time coloring as you want. There's days that I sit and I color a whole lot. Sorry, I needed to cough. I needed to get that out of my throat. I know if Chris is watching, that was really bothering her. Now I'm taking my old olive, and I am doing the same thing that I did with my dark cherry cobbler. I'm just dabbing color. Okay, I want not solid color. I want some spacing in between. Let's do right there. Now I am going to do my stems with my old olive. So I'm just going to follow my stems just down like that, filling those in. And don't forget these up here. I will color those with the dark Granny Apple. I love Granny Apple. It's a color that will help brighten your images a little bit. When you're using it, you could also use the light Granny Apple green for this, but I did want it in the deeper tones because it is still winter. If I wanted to do this spring, just by changing, possibly instead of using Granny Apple Green and Old Olive, if I used Dark Daffodil Delight and light Granny Apple Green, that would change your leaves a whole lot and change the feel of your image. So don't be scared to change your colors out, you guys. Have fun with it, play with it, experiment. Okay, so that's all that's to coloring that. Okay, so now we have the inside of our card. The inside of our card, we want to do a great big thank you. And I think I know who I am going to be sending this to. I just received a gift in the mail from a good friend of mine. And I love it. I'm going to be sharing it later on my on a Facebook Live. I don't want to give it up here. So we want to do some leaves, and I just want to do a couple of these flowers here. So let's get our small box and fancy up the inside of this card too. What do you say? So I am just going to add these leaves. Let's do it this way so that we get our flower in here also. And let's stamp it over far enough so I'm kind of guesstimating so that stem comes from the flower. Oh, it worked. You know what? I am going to use just a couple of those buds, just kind of floating in there so it's like I'm actually blowing kisses, kind of. So we'll have a couple of these just floating down here. There we go. Now it'll take just a second. Watch how fast we can color these. Same idea. Take our dark cherry cobbler. I love decorating the inside of the cards, and that's the fun and joy of making your own cards. I find is you can do what you want, right? Let's put just a little bit on here at the base. We're going to make those mainly green on the bottom there. Take our Puppy Parade. So I try to instill in my children when they were older, or younger, not older, to make sure that they write thank you cards for gifts. You know, not for every gift, but, you know, to each person. You know, just write a little thank you, thanking them for thinking of you during the holidays or your birthday. And we're just going to leave a little white tip on those. And I hope that to this day that they continue that on. So these I'm just doing with the Granny Apple. And it's just going to be a hint of green because those are really dark. The leaves on that have a lot of shading from the artist. And these leaves don't have quite as much, so we're just going to go up the center and on the side a little bit. Oh, I have this frog in my throat. We were outside. I had covered up our patio furniture, and we've had some high winds and rain, and it got up underneath it. So we had to redo it. So we were redoing that. Okay, so we've got this. Now all that's to be done is to put this all together. So we're going to put these on our black mats and see how quick and simple. Just think if you were doing a bunch of these at one time, you know, I always make 2 of each card so that I have the one I'm thinking of giving, and then I have one in the limelight. And you guys are going to notice no dimensionals on this card. I think this is the first card that I have made in a really long time. Let me make sure this is going the right way, that I haven't used dimensionals on. And I was thinking of adding ribbon, but I thought it took away. I wanted this to be fairly simple. Put this on the inside. Let's grab our black mat. Go around. So I have been making, my Christmas cards are going out tomorrow. They're all done. I just have to go buy stamps. Oh, I was at the post office and knew I was supposed to buy them, but I was so frustrated when I left, I forgot by the time I got up to the counter. So now I have to go stand in that line again. Okay, here we go. Just like that. Now, we could use some Wink of Stella on these. I think we need some of our matte dots, our black matte dots. And like Diane, and probably many of you, where do we place them, right? So, thank you, Dorothy. Yes, it is very simple, but beautiful. Let's see. I'm going to go for a couple of these big ones on this one because I think we could go ahead and use some of the big ones. A lot of times I find that I can't use the big ones. We're going to put more than 3. Shocker. Yeah, I love my dots. Let's see, we'll do this one down here. And then this tiny one. Oh, I want to form a triangle. That's a triangle, and this would be a triangle. Right there. Okay, now, what I can do with my Wink of Stella, I don't necessarily want to put it over my flowers, but I want to give this a little bit of shimmer. So I am going to take my Wink of Stella and just go around the outside of this image, you guys. And I don't know if you will be able to tell on camera. It just highlights my image. Okay, I don't want to touch the black because it is memento and sometimes your Wink of Stella bleeds your colors. Let's just add a little bit on the inside of these here. Okay, so a very simple card. Can you see that? No, you can't see the shimmer. It's really shimmery here though, you guys. It's beautiful. So we learned omitting on our stamp today, how to break up a verse if we want, taking a couple different colors that don't necessarily go together, like a dark and a light blend. And as you can see, those look perfect. And the Poppy Parade doesn't have that much of a pinky tone. It's got just enough, but it's not that pinky orangey tone, which it is. And then the inside of our card. So I hope you guys enjoy this today. Let me flip you around. Oops. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let us know. Diane will answer the questions on her page, and I will answer the questions on my page. So until next week, everybody, happy stamping. Bye-bye.